Hello YouTube, I'm a little bit new to this, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. I like to tinker on stuff, build things. I've done gates. I love to weld and do metal work. But today, I'm going to start working on my 2018 little Chevy Colorado Duramax. I haven't really done anything to it, other than I've put new tires on it, a little bit bigger, and I've played in the mud with it a little bit. So let's get started. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the leveling kit on it, and I'm also going to put a 2-inch wheel spacer on it. I do a little bit of towing with this. Usually it's a flat tow. I've got a 18-foot trailer that I haul stuff on it. You know, usually it's my side-by-side or four-wheeler. Sometimes I put a little trailer on it that I can also fit my side-by-side with. So it doesn't do major towing. I do have some property that's about 2 hours away, and I like to tow up to that. And it's probably about, what is it? It's probably about 3,000 feet in altitude change is all. So let's get started. So like I said, my little Chevy Colorado, got it up, put on wheel jacks. I figure everybody, if you're watching YouTube, you've already learned how to take off wheels and put it up on jack stands. So like I said, I've only put tires on it. I haven't really done anything to it. I've got a lot of wheeling in it, and I've actually pulled an F-350 out of the mud. So these trucks are great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start disassembling, and I'm going to start on the passenger side. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I loosened up everything, and now I'm going to undo the sway bar first, and then I will do the upper A-arm, and then after that I'll undo the bolt at the bottom of the strut. Then I'm going to do the top. Okay, let's get that process going. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the sway bar. Old school, fun school. Next time I might want to get me a drill. I highly recommend it. Pull up on that just a little bit. Let's set that right there. Okay, next thing, let's undo the A-arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosen this up. Of course, I'm using a, what is it, 18 millimeter. Just going to loosen this up a little bit. I'll tell you though, one good idea would be to wash your vehicle. I highly recommend that too. Looks like it's already pulling itself out. Alright, so fun little fact, of course, if you don't know, the A-arm with its nut here, you also have to put an Allen wrench in through the bottom of it. to hold it in order to get it loose completely. Yeah, with this being such a new truck, man, it's just, I'm not even gonna have to hit this thing with a hammer. It's just gonna pop. So pulling it up. What I think I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna get a bar and I'm gonna put it on top of the spring and pull down on that while I loosen it the rest of the way so that it doesn't just pop on me when I get done, because that little bit of tension that's there. Alright, really that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Didn't have really much pop on it. Probably didn't need the bar, but better be safe than sorry. I also thought I'd better hold up the caliper a little bit so it's not stretching the wires. And so you got your brake sensor line here, and also your brake line, your ABS sensor. You don't want to mess with that type of stuff, so make sure you hang it up. So the only thing left to do is to finish that bolt there, and then you got 3 more up there on the top. Alright, so again, just from a slightly different angle so you can see a little bit, I'm going to disconnect that bottom one first, and then I'll undo the tops. It's always fun when you have the right size wrench. Music to my ears. Let's do this. An extension on it. Obviously, there's no tension really on that. And then we'll twist with my finger. Oh, that's a big old head anyway. In fact, the bottom weight just drops slightly. There yet? Yeah. Ooh. Remember what I said about getting a drill? Remember that? Yeah. Two days later. Got it. Alright, next time to do this, of course, is these top bolts up here. Of course, there's 3 of them. If you wanted to remove this, you could. Day 2 of the project. I've decided I needed to, on the other side, disconnect the sway bar because it was kind of in the way. So I ended up undoing the sway bar completely so I could get the strut down enough to get the spacer in. The spacer that I'm using, just ordered online, 2-inch spacer. Should work pretty well. Let's get it put on. I've been fighting with this thing for a little bit. Took a little bit of ingenuity to get that on because I just couldn't get the springs to compress enough. So this is what I did. It is kind of janky looking, but I couldn't get that to go deep enough so that I could actually tighten it on. The strut compressors, man, I was muscling it. I had the breaker bar on there. Whew, man, but I finally got it. So now I just got to undo this and get it installed. All right, there you go. It's in. I'm gonna leave the sway bar disconnected for now until I do the other side, and then it also has some blocks that will space that sway bar down just a little bit to match up. But there it is. A little bit of some tip. So in order to get that in there, you've got to put it down through this area here, down through there, then lift your upper A-arm up just slightly and then put that in there. Nice thing is there's plenty of extra line for the brake sensor and the brake line. Whew, that was a jobber. Oh, and then I also use a pry bar to push this A-arm down. Hopefully that'll go up a little bit once I put it back on its own feet. Well, it's time to do the driver's side. Let's do this. First, of course, I'm gonna disconnect the upper A-arm. I've already loosened it using an Allen wrench at a 18mm wrench. Using this pry bar, that way that thing won't just pop out on me. Alright, easy enough. Alright, now I'm going to go through and loosen up the strut itself. You got 3 on top here, 2 near the front, 1 in the very back. You do have a center bolt, but that's actually holding the spring on, so don't loosen up that center bolt. And then I also recommend loosening the one in the very back first to take the tension off of it, because on the driver's side you have less room to work with all the steering components. And then also I'll undo the bottom, which is a 21mm. Get those loosened up. Hopefully she'll come right out. We'll see. Alright, well, I got the bolts out. Let's see if we can wrestle this thing out. See how long it takes me. Kind of lift it up, feed it down through here. Get that up out of the way. Somehow, do that. You always think you know what you're doing, but then you gotta rethink it. This up here. Set that back. And voila! Look at that! Got it! Didn't even take me that long. Nice! Now it's time to put the spring tensioners or compressors on there, and we'll wrestle with that for a minute. Got it out. Now I'm going to take the spring compressors and I'm going to put those on. And then I will start tensioning it. I will show you once I get that on. Alright, I got the spring compressors on there. Now it's key to note that even though this is the top of the strut, you want the bolt head down at this end. Believe it or not, these are built to go on the springs that way. It'd be so much nicer if the bolt end was on this end, you know, where you put your wrench on, because it'd be more convenient, but it's not. So this right here is actually formed to the spring, so it definitely holds better. Just so you know, makes it a little bit easier. Alright, I got it as compressed as I could with my drill. Another key thing is add a little WD-40 to your threads. Makes it go a little bit easy. Now I'm going to switch over to my socket and maybe to my breaker bar. We'll see how we do. But now I know this trick, I will probably won't be as difficult, I'm hoping. Alright, so I've got the spring all compressed. It's actually to the point better than the last one, because the last one it didn't have any movement, but on this one here I can actually move it around. So it's compressed a lot more. Now I'll undo this nut here. You'll have to do it with either a box end wrench, because you have to be able to put a wrench on here. It's only flat on two sides. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I got the piece taken off. This right here. Won't use any part of it, but maybe the nut, just because it's a nylon lock. It comes with this gold nut here, which has been formed so they'll grab, but I like the idea of the nylon lock. As long as you haven't taken it off too fast and didn't melt the nylon, I'll reuse it. So those are discarded, although you do need this rubber bushing. Nice thing about that is there's no way to misclock this, because it's got this edge on here, so it's got three flat sides, and that actually coincides with this right here. You can see the three flat sides. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but it fits. A little bit shaky because it's sitting on my table. At a certain point, I'm going to use my drill. See how that does. So much easier than the last time I did it. So much. Turn this in here a little bit so I can get that. Out. Stuck in there. Darn it. One side out. Loosen this back up. spin around to find the right enough side. Voila. Now all I gotta do is put it back in the truck. Way easier this time. It's just a matter of figuring things out. Because when I first was doing it, I thought, oh man, I'm never gonna get that on there. A little ingenuity and get it done. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get this put in there. It'll go in as easily as it came out. Okay, now when I took it out, I made note of this sticker because with it clocking just right in the upper portion, just make sure that sticker faces forward, and then get your bolts up top to line up. Good to go. Now I learned another trick here. When you take this out, it wants to drop. You do a weird angle with your shock down here. So I recommend putting your shock bolt in first, or your strut down in the bottom. I just gotta find mine. Alright, so I've just got a little pry bar here, just prying up on the bottom. Get that in place, and then should be good. Way easier than the other side. So I got the shock in place, or strut. Got the bottom bolt in, and then of course it comes with these three nuts. And those go up on top. Again, I highly recommend tightening the front two closest to the wheel assembly first, and then doing the back. Then you won't have to fight with it, especially on the driver's side, because it has a lot more. There's a lot more underneath by the engine on this side, and it's a little bit tighter just to get a wrench in there. So what I use, of course, is the 15 millimeter with a flexible head on it. Like that, so I can get in there and reach it a little bit easier. But actually, so the new bolts that came with it are only 14 millimeters. Fun, and not the same size as the other one. But, oh well, what can you do? Okay, next on the to-do list is to get the spindle hooked back up. That takes a little bit of some ingenuity. Got my nut here. Got me a pry bar here somewhere. All right, let's see if I can get this on here. Voila. I just gotta wrench it on. Remember, I gotta have my Allen wrench. Alright, that's all there is to that. It's all in there. Next step is to get the sway bar on and put the wheel spacers on. So now we're going to put the spacer blocks for the sway bar up here. It comes with its own bolts, but you reuse the bolts that you removed. So on this block it has 4 holes, 2 are threaded, 2 are not. Put the longer bolt towards the one that's spaced more, that has more space, and the shorter bolt in the other, because it goes near the frame. Anyway, so put those up in there. Okay, now your sway bar is going to be in the way if you're using just a conventional drill. So, actually you can move it. But if you're going to do one at a time, make sure you push up on it. Gotta move the rubber skid plate out of the way. Push plate up in. Tight. Move your bar forward. Same thing, skid plate out of the way. Okay. Make that specs, and then your sway bar, you move it over. You got these nuts, or these bolts. It comes with bolts and a washer. I highly recommend doing Loctite on these and then putting them in. Gotta get some Loctite. Alright, got myself a little Loctite here. Put a little bit on there. And then just lift this bar up, put it placed loosely. See if I can get it in. There we go, voila. Voila, and then get the other one, do the same. Get it in there loosely, and then we'll go around the other side. Do the same thing. Perfect. Now move the other side. So I already got the block up on this side. I just got to put the hardware in. And it actually takes a 7/8 or a 5/8 inch socket. Where did I put my Loctite? I originally put this tie down up here thinking that it'd be an extra set of hands for me. But I did not need it, which I'm okay with. Now I'm going to leave those somewhat loose while I put the tie rod ends back, or not tie rod, the sway bar ends. Okay, the sway bar piece right here, this nut's just built right in that bottom piece. So it feeds in from, actually from the bottom. The rod goes up through. So we put this piece in here. And then take this one. Goes up from the bottom. Okay, just like that. Got in there kind of loose. Get the wrenches to get that tightened and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to put the wheel spacers on. Got these online. I'll put a link if anybody's interested. But I am going to put on a little Loctite on these. Just a dab will do. And these go on with a 19mm. Use my glue and run down. Do a cross pattern. Now I'll get my torque wrench and torquing the specs. Yeah, I'm going to do a little hand tighten a little bit. Just because I know that my whole wheel will turn. One way you can do it without it. Let me grab a couple of lug nuts here. Get a couple of lug nuts in place. And get yourself a pry bar. Let's see here. Want to rotate it. That way you don't mar up your threads. First I'll come back and torque those up. And I'm going to put it on the other side. I'm doing to torque on my wheel spacers. It's kind of hard to do when you got the wheel off, of course, with the front. So what I've done is I've just taken a pry bar, put a couple of lug nuts on there. See there? That way I can get my torque wrench in here. And it's going to hold the wheel still. So, it seems to be the best way to do it. Alright, was able to get it all finished. Looks pretty good. However, we've got a little bit of some rubbing issues. Can't really see it that well, but right there, and then right in there along the bottom edge. So time to do a little trimming. I like the new stance though. Looks pretty good. Nice and level. So, well, I guess I'll get started trimming. Okay, so I think I'm going to start on the driver's side just to, you know, do it lazy man's way. Got the wheel turned and gives me better access. You can see right there where it's rubbing. It's not rubbing terribly, but I don't know what to do if I was off camera, a little bit off in the hills. So I'm going to trim. First, I'll remove the fasteners. I'm just going to remove these few down across the bottom. Pop this off. And then I'm going to trim that back a little bit. Trim that back just a smidgen. And go from there. Right, I got this handy dandy little tool from, you know, the Afraid of Harborness. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was only a few bucks. Should do the job easily. I think I might toy with this for just a minute, see if I can't clean that up a little bit. Alright, so I cleaned it up. I just made a curve cut across here from outside to inside. I think that'll actually work out pretty well. Probably put 2 fasteners on it. Yeah, I think that'll work. Voila, 2 fasteners. Didn't cut this piece. Still keeps the mud out. Let's turn the tire and see how that works. It's kind of hard to see, but I do have clearance. It's not rubbing. And with the swing, most likely it will miss until I get a little mud on it. But for now, I think that'll do. It'll keep the mud out. And didn't change it a whole bunch. May or may not rub right there. Hopefully not. Alright, there's the next issue. Let's see, it's right where the fastener is. It's that bottom piece that kind of closes it off. Don't really want to cut my fender itself at this point. So let's see what we can do about that. All right, here's a little bit better look at it. Where it's rubbing right there. Not terribly, but here. This right here. Not terribly excited about because I know that's right where the pinch weld is. And right behind this is pinch weld. So I'm gonna take off these two here, pull that out of the way a little bit, and then that's pretty much all that holds it, unless you get up here to this one. Take those off and take a look. Open this up, man, look at this deliciousness I found in here. What the heck, man? Where the heck is that coming in from? That'd cause your vehicle to rust out over time. Look at all this junk. That's terrible. Full leaves. It's coming from the top, obviously. Yeah. Got a ton of dirt right there. So I think is what I'm going to do is that part has a panel right there. I'm going to finish taking this one off. Just stuck on there. Well, really, if I take, man, what the heck is that? Piece of sound deadening in there? That's awesome. Nothing like water, something to catch water with. Yikers, it is just soaked. And I did go to the car wash yesterday. I took my own advice. Went to the car wash. Hard to see, but so I cut this off along here and down. I also removed the piece behind it. I figure this stuff right here can help keep the dirt out. It's not like it's keeping out from the top anyway. And then I trimmed this little piece and painted it. Drilled a hole, got one of the mounts, and used the mount that was left over from the front bumper and mount that on. Alright, so there you go. Got it all bolted back in. It's not a lot of clearance. I'm sure if I hit a bump, it'll probably rub. But you know, hey, it's better than it was. Got clearance. Alright, well, I'm not going to show you the other side because it's just a repeat of what I just did, just on the opposite side. So the one thing I did is I did cut that sound deadening back about 4 inches up because it was catching all the water and holding in. And I'm afraid that would cause rust down the road. So yank that sucker right out of there. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. And I really appreciate if you would subscribe because I'll be doing a lot of other projects. Like I said in the beginning, I like to build stuff. I'm building a cabin, might do that, but I'm going to keep going with this little Colorado and do a few more upgrades. I got to do rock sliders, and I'm going to cut the front bumper up and build myself a bumper, and then I'll probably do the back bumper. But yeah, stay tuned. See ya.